Hey guys, what's happening? It's Jess and Beej, and we're here with, I think it's episode 8 of the YTP Mini. I'm digging these little conversations. I hope you guys are too. Let us know what you want to hear about, who you want us to get on the horn, because we'll do these remotely, we'll do them in person. We just want to get more content out there, and we want to share all the amazing people that are in this world of endurance sports and beyond, and we want to share them with you guys. So let us know who you want, because we are not scared, Beej.
We are reaching out.
We are not scared to reach out to people. So let us know who you want to hear, and we will reach out to them. And who you want to hear and what you want to know.
Yeah, that's the next thing.
This is like the people's pod right there.
It is.
All right, cool. So I got Coach with me, and I'm going to ask you, you're going to be the star of this mini today, babe,
All right.
because
let's do it.
I feel like we get questions for like our monthly podcast and stuff like that, but we want to hear more about the gauntlets that you have walked. So I want to dive into a question about fear for you. You know, I think one of the things that really gives you street cred is that you are open and honest about the experiences that you've had. You know, you've talked about how you went really dark back in 2014. Yeah, that was your dark, and you went pretty dark back in 2014, and how you rose out of that and all the changes you've made and this really long road that you've had towards Kona. But I think one thing that we haven't really dived into is fear. And fear is something that, you know, I remember when we first jumped in the water in Boulder, you couldn't even get to the other side of the pool, which was shocking. I was like, whoa, what's happening here? And I know you've moved through some fear in the water. So what is like, will you share, you were actually sharing with me because you've got one of our athletes who is 16. How old's Georgia?
Oh, she's sophomore in high school. So what is that?
15, 16, something like that. And she kind of jogged this memory for you when you went for your lifeguarding. So tell us about tell us about how you moved through that fear, what that fear was and how you moved through it.
You know, I hadn't even thought about that experience in a long time. When we lived back in Newport, in order for me to coach master swimming, which was moving me towards my goal of being a coach, which you helped encourage me to pursue, you know, there was the hang up at the Boys and Girls Club. They had an opening, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'd love to coach. Like I've swam with some really, really amazing coaches in Boulder, Colorado, and I've gained a lot of knowledge and, you know, wanted to use that and move myself towards being a coach. And the one hang up was, in order to do the early morning swim at the Boys and Girls Club before it opened, was they didn't have a lifeguard there at that time. So I would have to go through lifeguard certification in a pool setting in order to coach the masters. So what's the next step? So I could have either treated this as, okay, well, this is a sign that I'm not supposed to continue on because they know I'm fearful of the water, and now I'm going to be asked to rescue people's lives. Or do I keep taking the next step? And so that's what I did. I just did the next thing. So I jumped into lifeguard training at the Y in Newport, in Middletown. And actually the athlete that we have is going through the same training with the same teacher who's been there forever. Like forever he's been there. And she described her session when I asked her that she had to swim under the water and carry a brick to the other side. And she did it totally fine. But what she was looking for advice on was just the regular swim. Like, they have to test out, I think, at a 300 or 400 yard swim, and so her stroke isn't dialed in. But that's something that was so easy for me. But swimming underwater, carrying a brick, or we had to collect rings at the bottom of the water, was a real struggle. It was a real struggle. So this lifeguarding opportunity really asked me to step up.
Describe the struggle. What's a struggle?
The struggle is fear of drowning. That would be the extreme case. Fear of not having the next breath. And also fear of failure, fear of going through this program as the oldest person in it and not finishing it. You know, it required treading water for 5 minutes. It required.
Was that scary?
It was a little scary, you know, because it was the unknown. I haven't tread water for 5 minutes before. And a lot of these experiences I'll mention are just because I've never done them before, which is where a lot of people find fear and they get paralyzed by it. They let it consume them. And if they step away from the fear and just realize that this is just another opportunity to collect information on yourself and see how you perform. And if you do fail, at least you know where you are, and you can choose to move forward and address the things that will allow you to succeed at that.
So the scary thing for you was swimming underwater?
Swimming underwater.
Okay. So how did you move through that fear?
I just acted. I worked on not letting... All right, so yeah, because we want to know the specifics, right? So...
Do you remember?
I remember.
So how did you're on the pool deck, and I do remember it was like all high school kids and
all
you.
High school kids. I was by far the oldest person by, I don't know, 15, 20 years at least.
So you're on the pool deck and you know you have to go underwater, and you're doing it what, one by one?
You're doing it one by one. You're in the shallow end of the pool, and you have to wade over to the halfway mark, and then you have to swim down and pick up the rings and then come back up on the other side.
Okay, so what are those moments like?
They could have been extreme. You know, I did feel nervousness. I felt doubt in those moments, watching the people go one by one. And then I just came back to my breath because I was meditating at that time.
But you weren't that far into your
I wasn't
meditation.
far into it, but I knew that the breath would help me along. So I just kept breathing deep and staying present through that breath. So feeling the breath enter my body and then leave the body, and not worrying about, okay, well, I'm 3 people away. Because I remember seeing this, like 3 people away. Okay, I'm 2 people away. And I was just keeping it as matter of fact. I wasn't letting the thoughts indulge, I guess you could say.
You weren't indulging the thoughts.
I wasn't indulging in the thoughts. And then it was my turn, and I just went. And without hesitation, just went. Just waded up and then went under the water. And continued on. And tried to grab the rings. And come up the other side with all the rings. And I failed. I didn't complete that. I didn't get all the rings.
So that was one of your fears, was fear of failure.
Fear of failure.
And you failed.
And I failed.
So when you realized you had failed, were you scared of that anymore?
No. Nope.
Did your world come crashing down?
No.
What did you do?
I asked them when the next time we'll be doing this so I can try again. And so we were going to do it at a later date. Because most of the kids got it done. I want to say every kid got it done. I was probably the only one that didn't get it done. Yeah.
And when you went back to the second time, do you remember that?
You know, I don't. I don't even think we did a second time.
So how'd you get your lifeguarding? Because isn't that a requirement?
It's part of it. Like it's
okay.
Yeah, he takes all this stuff into consideration, right?
I feel like you did do it again. You sure you didn't do it again?
I can't remember doing it again. No. You know, they take in everything that goes on. So some kids weren't good at the CPR. Some kids couldn't lower themselves into the water without, you know, creating a ripple effect. Because if somebody has got a neck injury, you need to just slip yourself in really calmly. So there were other things that people couldn't do. So it was like a collection of what he thought he saw in the lifeguards in order to achieve getting that certification.
So what did that teach you about fear?
It's another step on this journey where it's that pivotal moment where it's going to either dictate who you are and what you can do, or you're going to stand up to it and eventually... I always come through on the other side is one thing I'm learning. I'll always make it happen.
Nice. All right. As a coach, what is one thing you wish all your athletes would do?
Wow. One thing. See, this is the I'm in the analytical mind. I'm trying to think of what the thing would be. But I guess the right down to the basic would just be just do the workout. Just do the work. Really just do the work. Right? Just do the work. In my experience as a coach, there's a tendency for athletes to analyze and debate and calculate, and all this stuff is going on. Exactly what I was just doing when I was trying to answer the question. Like going into the mind when you should just speak from your heart. Like what's the first thing top of mind? And you were always good at that. You're always good at giving me that challenge.
Yeah, but you caught yourself there. You knew you were in the mind.
I knew I was. Yeah, so you just act.
Because like, what's the right answer?
Right. So the same thing with athletes. What's the right way to approach this workout? What's the right food to have? What's the right setting on my watch? Where's the right route to go on? Which pool is going to have open lanes, right? Worried about open lanes, like not it's a slow time in the pool. It doesn't matter. Just go to the pool, right? It doesn't matter what the route is. If you got, just go bike or run, like just go do it. It's that hesitation, that moment of hesitation, which you're really reinforcing to then become a habit. So then anything that's going to bring up just a little bit of doubt in the workout is going to explode into like, well, I don't have enough time, so I'm not going to get it done. Or I'm not going to be able to get to that hill, so I really can't do it. And there's multiple examples of that. So I really think to be successful, get on the successful train, like let's hop on this train, is let's just act. Let's look at what's coming up. Okay, this is what I have to do today, and do it. And allow time for it, like plan ahead. I was just listening to Dave Goggins, and Goggins says that he just backtracks every day. He's got to be at this place at 7:15. Okay, I got to wake up at 4. Takes me an hour to do my run. Okay, roger that. Then it takes this time to clean myself up. Then I need to eat, and then I need to travel, and then that will arrive me at my destination. So we get back all that up. And there's some days he gets up at 1:30 in the morning. Same thing with us. We've been hitting 4 a.m. wake-up calls. I've been hitting 4 a.m. wake-up calls. Jess has been consistently hitting 4 a.m. wake-up calls, but I've joined it again, and it's just a choice. It all comes down to a choice, right? Overthinking is, don't overthink it. Wise coach told me that once.
And what do you have to say about athletes really what I want to ask about is comparison. And we touched upon this, like we literally touched upon it with Mel Urey in her podcast, and she was like, "Oh, that's a whole other thing. I'm not going down that right now." And I made a note that I wanted to talk about this with you is athletes comparing themselves to other athletes. So whether that's on race day when they get to the race and they're psyching themselves out, or they're reading up on, oh, so-and-so is doing this, and so-and-so is doing this, and so-and-so is doing this. What do you have to say about that as a coach?
They don't trust themselves. They don't have that inner confidence that all that stuff is just noise. It's just a distraction. So subconsciously or consciously, they're looking for something outside of themselves that will occupy their time, which will distract them from what they truly are feeling inside, which is possibly fear of failure, of lack of success, of not being fast enough or strong enough, or not having the right bike. All of that's just noise. If they're confident and determined and aligned with who they are inside, all that stuff should not matter. And it's easy for me to say because I've been through it. I've compared myself numerous times. I get on the tracker for Ironman and look at times of, this at this race, this is what I need to run. And you can get really consumed with that. And then you start hitting that, focusing on that, over-focusing on that in training. And then at night, it keeps you up. And then you start to doubt yourself when you see the watch and you're not hitting those times. When all that stuff really doesn't matter, that was one snapshot of one race of one person in time that was in the past and doesn't even exist anymore. Right? There's no reason you can't run faster or race faster than that. So if you believe in yourself and have confidence in yourself, there should be nothing that is unsettling.
And I would think that translates to believing in yourself, and believing in yourself, believing in your choices, believing in the choice that you've made for your coaching, and in turn being able to trust the plan. So would you say that an athlete that's not trusting the plan does not trust themselves?
Absolutely. 100%.
And how can they start trusting themselves?
Every day is an opportunity. Every choice is an opportunity to trust themselves. It's a muscle. You need to work this muscle. You need to work this repetitive muscle. How can you do that? Well, I told my significant other that I was getting up at 5 to go to the pool, yet I hit snooze, and it's now 6, and it's already too late, so now I'm going to go to work, and maybe I'll swim afterwards. So that is reinforcing the muscle of actually what you continue to do and not moving you towards where you want to go. So that right there is an opportunity. And you say this, I like this a lot. It's let your yeses be yes and your no's be no. So if you're telling the universe, I'm going to the pool in the morning, and then you wake up, you choose to hit snooze, the thought comes in that says, it's actually going to be crowded today.
Stuff makes my blood boil. It's good. It's such my teacher.
I'm talking from experience too, because all this stuff has happened to me in the past. Really key thing, you need to go on the just yes train, the yes train. You wake up, you say yes to everything. Somebody says something to you, you say yes. Oh, do you want to meet up for dinner? Yes. Do you want to go for a run? Yes. Can you bike later and we're going to go do hills? Yes. Can you go bring my dog for a walk? Yes. Can you do this extra work? It's going to take you a few more hours after work. You're going to have to pull some overtime. Can you do it? Yes. And as soon as you keep reinforcing that yes, yes, yes muscle, when you wake up weeks later and you're challenging yourself of whether to go to the pool or not, that muscle is now stronger, and it may be the turning point, the tipping point where you say, yes, I'm getting up and I'm going.
Nice. Awesome, Coach.
All right.
Thank you.
That was exciting.
Yeah, we'll do more. So let us know what you want to hear from Coach or me, or who you want to hear from. You guys, let's dive in. Let's strengthen our community here, and we're so grateful for you all. Thank you.